Okay, what's going on, everybody? We are here, we are live. I want to thank you all for joining me today. If you haven't already, please make sure you hit the like button because that's the most important thing you can do for me on this channel. What it does, that helps make sure that those who are subscribed to the channel will indeed get their notifications, and it also helps to push this video through the YouTube algorithm as well. Secondly, if you're new to the channel, or maybe you've been ghost watching this channel for quite some time now, please do me a favor and yourself a favor by hitting the subscribe button as well as the bell notification next to the subscribe button so you can be notified whenever I release a new video. And lastly, but definitely most importantly, please make sure you are following me on Telegram at TD Media Group to help circumvent social media censorship and shadow banning. That is extremely important that you do that. And with the introduction out of the way, let's get the stream started. And man, oh man, today we are going to be talking about our favorite emperor, Brandon Johnson, the emperor of the People's Republic of Chicago, because new news has come out. New, extremely shockingly low approval rating has come out, and it's showing unbelievably that Brandon Johnson is in the single digits. This is with the backdrop being him recently passing that huge bill in which they will be borrowing, I believe it's somewhere around $830 million, to which by the time they get done paying off that $830 million, it will have ballooned up to $2 billion that Chicago will have had to pay back, and it will be over the course of, I believe it's a 30-year period, something crazy. We're going to get into all that in just a moment, but let's jump into this very quickly first. Look at this. This is crazy. Nearly 80% of Chicagoans disapprove of Mayor Johnson. New polls finds. Let's get into this because this is out of control. Look at this here. And it reads a whopping 79.9%, 80% of respondents said they disapprove of Johnson's record. 80%. And as you can see here, I'm going to zoom in just a little bit more. You got to zoom in as close as possible for this because the number is so small as far as his approval rating is concerned. I mean, we got to zoom in as much as possible. Only 6.6% of respondents held a favorable record. Brandon Johnson, the emperor of the People's Republic of Chicago, literally has an approval rating of 6.6%. That is unheard of. I've never seen of or heard of anything like that ever before. I thought his original approval rating of 14% was beyond belief. That was something that I had never seen before. And he's hit a new low of 6.6%. This man is despised throughout the city, completely despised. Meanwhile, he's robbing you all blind and going to leave everyone in an extraordinary amount of debt. And let's get into that right now, right? Let's jump over here really quickly. Many of you are familiar with this because I covered it, I believe it was sometime last week, but this has since passed. But check this out right here. Mayor Brandon Johnson asked to borrow $830 million one day after the city's credit rating dipped, one day after the city's credit rating dipping to near junk status. He would have broad discretion over how to spend the money, including on his friends at the Chicago Teachers Union. Look at this here. Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson asked the city to take out an $830 million bond just one day after Chicago's credit rating hit near junk status, according to the Standard and Poor's Global. Now, I wanted to look into that a little bit in terms of what does that actually mean for the city of Chicago, and it's just self-explanatory as far as their credit rating hitting near junk status. It's literally the same thing as your credit score, right? Your personal credit score. This Standard and Poor's Global credit rating works the same way. The lower the credit rating for the city, the harder it is to borrow money and the more money you're going to have to pay back in terms of as far as interest is concerned. So Brandon Johnson is burying the city right now in debt, burying it in an unprecedented amount of debt. And one of the biggest issues with this $830 million is how broad the language is. Now he's claiming that he's going to clean it up. We'll see if that's true, if he tightens up on the language of that $830 million and how it could be spent. But listen to this here. Look at this. In listings for acceptable use for funds, right? The ordinance includes loans or grants to assist individuals, whatever that means, not for profit organizations, his buddies, or educational or cultural institutions, Chicago Teachers Union, maybe, or for profit organizations, more of his buddies, or to assist other municipal corporations, whatever that means, units of local government, whatever that means, school districts, whatever that means. The state or United States of America. So what? That means anybody all over the country can apply to get some of this money. What does any of this mean? We don't know. We have no idea what any of this stuff actually means. I want to come back over here real quickly also. Or I shouldn't say real quickly, but I want to come over to here because I want to read a little bit more of the S&P. What is it called again? What do they call this again? I want to read a little bit more about the Standard and Poor's global kind of credit rating for these cities, right? Like Chicago. Check this out right here. The rating agency knocked the city's rating from BBB plus to BBB, according to a city news release. The downgrade comes after the city council passed a 2025 budget without a property tax increase to close a nearly $1 billion deficit. Instead, Mayor Brandon Johnson's office relied on other measures like a $40 million line of credit, at $10 million in special event reimbursements, $5 million in gas and electricity savings, and $1 million in staff cuts across city departments. There were also several fee increases to raise revenue. So a lot of cuts and a lot of fee increases to raise revenue. Why you should care? Credit downgrades are important because they could make borrowing money more expensive in the future. Chicago is cooked. Chicago is so cooked. The rating is like the city's credit score, meaning lenders use it to determine how much to charge the city to take out a loan. The city uses taxpayer money to pay back such loans as well as the interest payments. Check this out over here. I like this Twitter page here from Austin Berg. He's a reporter. He does a good job reporting on what's going on in the city of Chicago, right? And let's read this here. Today is Chicago City Council vote on Mayor Brandon Johnson's $830 million borrowing plan. We all know it passed already. Now, Brandon Johnson did claim that he will tighten up the language on that borrowing on the bill. But look at this here. $2 billion in taxpayer costs over the life of the deal. The life of the deal is up to about 30 years. No payments until 2027, conveniently after Johnson's term ends. What does that mean? Brandon Johnson, when it's time for them to rebalance the books and create a new budget for the city, he doesn't have to concern himself with making this part of the budget plans because he himself will not be making any payments on this loan while he's still in office. And we all know this man's going to be a one-term mayor, right? Only interest payments through 2045, leaving the next generation to clean up the mess. What does that mean? Only interest payments through 2045. They're literally only going to be paying the interest until 2045. After 2045, that's when they'll be paying the what's it called? What's the actual official term for it? They'll be paying the principal of $830 million. So this is going to, you have citizens of Chicago that are nowhere close to being born yet, and they'll still be paying for this. You got kids that will be born 15 to 20 years from now. And when they're born, their parents will have to be paying for this. This is a 30-year plan that they have here. Any kid in Chicago that's born within the next 10 years, by the time they turn 18 or 16 and they start working, they will still be paying for this in the form of taxes. That is wild. That is completely crazy. Now, look at this over here. Another way that Brandon Johnson is looking to balance the budget for 2025 is by installing 50 new speed cameras to ticket drivers. And mind you, I'm not somebody that's like, listen, I live in LA, right? Where the people out here drive, everybody out here in LA drives like they're running from the cops. So as far as speeding is concerned, I'm not even really mad at this kind of stuff, because like I said, out here in LA, literally everybody drives like they're running from the cops. But the thing is that all things considered in Chicago, all things considered there, this has nothing to do with public safety. This has nothing to do with anything of that nature. This just has everything to do with continuing to find more ways to tax the citizens of Chicago, to pay for this money that, as far as I'm concerned, is really theft, right? It really is. Because none of this money is going to go to anything that's tangible that you can look at and say, wow, the city of Chicago really benefited from this. That's just not going to happen, right? So now when you're rushing to work and you're late one day, you're going to get hit by one of these cameras and it's going to cost you a pretty penny. Each new camera location will have an initial 30-day grace period during which speeding drivers will be let off with a warning notice in the mail. After that, those caught going 6 to 10 miles per hour too fast will get a $35 ticket, while $100 tickets will go out to those recorded going 11 miles per hour or more over the limit, as the standard citywide, as is the standard citywide. Johnson's team first floated the new cameras as a means to raise $11 million to pay for police department positions related to the federal consent decree in his 2025 budget. So they're already expecting, what that lets us know is that they're already expecting that this is going to net them about $11 million annually. That's what they're expecting already. Now, what I want to switch over to next is this guy right here. Many of you guys are familiar with Ray Lopez. We all know who he is, right? One of the aldermen in Chicago. Ray Lopez and Anthony Beale, as I've stated before, seemingly are really the only ones that really hold Brandon Johnson accountable. It seems like those two and a handful of others. But he proposed something very interesting. He's looking to hopefully bring Doge, right? Or Doge-like scenario to the state of Illinois. And we're going to get into why that's necessary after this video. So what I want to do right now is that I have to play this video directly off of Twitter. I wish that I forgot to download it, so I could just play it through how I normally do. So give me just a second while I pull this down off the screen for a moment and re-pull up that video. And while I'm doing that, please make sure you hit the like button if you haven't already. That's extremely important. Subscribe to the channel if you're new to the channel, and share this video on your social media platforms. And also, and always, please, Telegram. Please follow me on Telegram at TD Media Group. The link to my Telegram is in the description box below. And it should be pinned in the live chat right now. Where is this video at? Okay, here it goes. So let's listen to what Ray Lopez had to say in terms, or as far as bringing Doge to the state of Illinois. The volume on here might be a little low. So please forgive me for that. Please forgive me for that. But let's jump into this right now.
See you on the show again. And let's start with State Rep Cabello's proposal there to introduce a Doge to Illinois. Do you think that's the right move?
Well, I know there's a lot of appeal, Natasha, to have the Elon Musk style Doge going after city, state, and all government departments. But I think really it's been an abdication by both Republicans and Democrats for decades, not being asleep at the switch, not knowing what they were appropriating funds for. Even when you look at Congress and all of their continuing resolutions, USAID did not get to where it is today simply because congressmen were paying attention to what was going on. They were just adding inflation and allowing the spending to continue, so on and so forth. And even in Illinois, that's been the case here, where we just adjust for inflation and pass a budget accordingly. Any elected official, whether it's city council like myself, state representative, member of Congress, needs to take their fiduciary responsibility seriously and always go line by line and start their budgets from a zero-based budgeting and move their way upward.
Now, check this out, right? Check this out. Here's one of, I guess you could say, the many reasons why this needs to happen, right? Let me pull this down for a minute, and I want to pull this one last article up in closing. But let's look at this right here. What's going on in the state of Illinois, as far as just wasteful spending, right? Waste, fraud, and abuse. As far as waste, fraud, and abuse is concerned. Okay, look at this right here. Shout out to J.B. Pritzker, one of the worst governors in the country. Audit finds many were improperly enrolled in state healthcare program for non-citizens, while costs were vastly underestimated. Really? Really? Let's get into this, man. Let's get into this right now. Look at this here. Governor J.B. Pritzker's administration vastly underestimated the cost and attraction of a pair of controversial programs that provided state-funded health insurance for immigrants who are not citizens, according to an audit report released Wednesday. And as far they're talking about illegal immigrants, and I'm going to show you why I believe that in just a moment. When they say non-citizens, what they would like for you to believe is people that are there legally with work permits and stuff like that, but they're not citizens. They're talking about illegal immigrants. I'm going to show you why I say that in a second. The program, get this, has cost the state more than $1.6 billion since the initiative began in late 2020, and also have been plagued by improper enrollments and failure to move some recipients who were eligible into Medicaid, the traditional health insurance program for the poor that is jointly funded by the federal government, according to the report from Illinois Auditor General Frank Matino's office. While widely supported by the Latino caucus in Springfield, stop right there. You see, that's how you know that this was for illegal immigrants. That's how you know that this was for illegal immigrants. That right there. Now, it's not to get things confused, because contrary to popular belief and what most people, a lot of people tend to believe, is that Hispanics overall support illegal immigration and things of that nature. Numerous polls show that that's not the case. Numerous polls, especially in the city of Chicago, show that the majority of Hispanics do not support illegal immigration and wasteful spending like this. But as it pertains specifically to politicians, as soon as you see something like this, while widely supported by the Latino caucus in Springfield. Okay, so this was for illegal immigrants. Got it. Thank you. Thank you. That's what this $1.6 billion in free health insurance was for. It's for illegal immigrants. And then it goes on to state, and other progressive lawmakers, once again, illegal immigrants. The programs have been a source of tension among the Democrats who control the legislature, and briefly derailed budget negotiations 2 years ago before legislators reached a compromise that gave Pritzker broad latitude to rein in costs. The audit's release comes a week after the governor proposed eliminating funding beginning July 1st for the program that ensures people younger than 65 and move his administration's estimates, excuse me, and move his administration estimates would save his administration estimates would save $330 million. And get this, and help erases a state budget deficit for the coming year it once estimated at more than $3 billion. Illinois as a whole is facing a deficit of $3 billion. That's on top of the fact that Chicago, the city itself, is facing a deficit budget of $1 billion. These states are falling apart and collapsing behind a host of nonsensical waste, fraud, and abuse spending. But on top of that, and more pronounced over the past couple of years, spending on illegal immigrants to fund Biden's migrant crisis, right? And speaking of Biden's migrant crisis and funding it, next Wednesday, or I should say this Wednesday coming up, this Wednesday, Brandon Johnson's going to be held to task. Brandon Johnson this Wednesday is going to have his House hearing, right? Where he's going to testify in front of Congress about the sanctuary city policy in Chicago, how it works, what it does. And essentially, this man is going to be grilled like crazy. And I can't wait for it. And I am here for it this Wednesday. And we're definitely going to go live about it. Whether or not he's prepared for it is yet to be seen. I think it's safe to say that this man is nowhere near going to be prepared for it. And there's a former congressman who feels the same. Let's jump into this very quickly.
Johnson is likely to face a much more hostile environment when he testifies before Congress than when he takes reporters' questions as he did today.
Good morning, everyone.
Former Congressman Luis Gutierrez took part in hundreds of committee hearings during his 26 years on Capitol Hill.
I think the mayor is just too new and too ill-prepared to really go into this circus, because that is what it is going to be.
But the mayor's team is preparing him for his moment in the spotlight when he will be asked to defend Chicago's welcoming city ordinance, which prevents police from cooperating with ICE on immigration matters.
I'm going to show up. I'm going to show up for the people of Chicago as I've always done. And I can't say I'm looking forward to it, but I will certainly say that when I get there, who I am is who I will remain.
Doesn't he sound a little nervous? Let's hear that again. After he made that joke, because that was a big joke. I'm going to be there representing Chicago, showing up for Chicago as I always do. Now that's hilarious. But he when he says I'm not looking forward to it, yeah, he's looking a little nervous. And Crew Reality, I see you in the comment section. He said, "Well, I'm looking forward to it. Me too. Me too. We're definitely going live this Wednesday to watch it."
Chicago as I've always
with ICE on immigration matters.
I'm going to show up. I'm going to show up for the people of Chicago as I've always done. And I can't say I'm looking forward to it, but I will certainly say that when I get there, who I am is who I will remain.
Johnson says he has reached out to former Mayor Lori Lightfoot, former Education Secretary Arnie Duncan, as well as Congressman Danny Davis, seeking advice.
This is about Chicago. This is not about, Brandon Johnson. I am part of a long legacy of leaders in this city and this state that have stood up for working people. And that's essentially what I'm prepared to do on March 5th.
I don't know that Mayor Johnson's going to be able to get that message across, given that this is a circus that is set up and an ambush that they're ready. I don't know if he's ready for that ambush.
He's not ready at all. He's not ready at all. I'm going to let this play out. There's maybe about 30 more seconds left in this video. But it's going to be very interesting to see how he plays this. Because his canned responses, that he gives to local news outlets when he just says investments, we're investments. No matter what you ask this guy, he's either going to troll and say something completely ridiculous, right? Or he's going to just go to his script of how I'm going to keep investing in Chicago investments and investments. That's not going to work at that hearing. That is not going to work. And Congress is going to eat this man alive. And I am here for it. Brandon Johnson is not ready at all.
I don't know if he's ready for that ambush.
Gutierrez believes whatever Johnson says to Congress could be used against him and Chicago and could lead to federal funds being withheld. Mayor Johnson admitted today that he is not quite sure what to expect during next Wednesday's hearing, but one key advisor told me the goal is to mitigate any harm and not give congressional Republicans what they want.
Now, as I round this out in closing, I want to play one more video for you guys. And what I'm going to show you right here, if he plans on doing stuff like this, and it's not going to be one of his trolling videos because he trolls all the time when you ask him a serious question, but if he just goes into the default of investments, this is going to get ugly. I want you to see this here, right? Now, for those of you who are joining late, for those of you who don't know, let me pull this back up on the screen for you right now if you're coming in late. Brandon Johnson, wow, has an approval rating in Chicago of 6.6%. Oh, that I've never, I don't even know what to say. I don't even know what to say at an approval rating that pathetic. 6.6% is beyond crazy. An approval rating of that low is a display of a man who truly does not care, and is 100% out for himself and his self only. And the response that he's going to give right now to his single-digit approval rating is going to show that to be true. Let's watch this in closing.
Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson will testify in front of Congress next week about his city's sanctuary status. Here's what he had to say about how he's preparing and about the Justice Department's lawsuit against Illinois and the city of Chicago.
Your single-digit poll numbers and the anger and the frustration that people are feeling towards their mistrust of you and the lack of transparency, are you prepared, and your allies for that matter in City Council, prepared to lose re-election over this payday loan?
We're going to continue to invest in people.
All right, let's bring in anchor and investigative reporter Ben Bradley from our News Nation affiliate.
The video was still playing as they were talking over it. Let's watch. That was all he had. That was all he was going to give them. That's it. Just, we're going to invest in people.
Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson will testify in front of Congress next week about his city's sanctuary status. Here's what he had to say about how he's preparing and about the Justice Department's lawsuit against Illinois and the city of Chicago.
Your single-digit poll numbers and the anger and the frustration that people are feeling towards their mistrust of you and the lack of transparency, are you prepared, and your allies for that matter in City Council, prepared to lose re-election over this payday loan?
We're going to continue to invest in people.
All right, let's bring in anchor and investigative reporter Ben Bradley from our News Nation affiliate.
That was it. You're talking about a man who truly does not care. He's robbing the city blind. He's burning it down and could care less because, as we've covered multiple times before in the past, and I keep reminding you guys, this man has a pension worth $3 to $5 million. This man is going into early retirement with a $3 to $5 million pension after exploiting numerous pension loopholes in between his kind of short time working as a teacher up until now being mayor of Chicago. He could care less. He's retiring a multi-millionaire. So yeah, investments. That's it. You can ask me whatever you want. I'm just going to respond with my canned response. Investments. But once again, Wednesday at that hearing, just saying that isn't going to work. What I'm curious to see is if they're able to break Brandon Johnson and get him out of character, you can say, to which he really just starts talking ridiculous, just complete foolishness. Like when he had that mental breakdown. Remember, I used to play the video clip all the time of Brandon Johnson having that mental breakdown when he was asked about when he's going to the border. And remember, he just flipped out, concerning going to the border and said, I'll get to the border when I could be there. Don't you know my wife is black, my children are black, and I'm raising a black family on the west side of Chicago, and my dog is black, my car is black, and we all black. So you can't expect me to go to the border. I'll be there when I get there. I kid you not. Some of you might not have been on this channel back during that time period when I used to play that video a lot. That was legitimately Brandon Johnson's response. So what I'm curious to see is, will they be able to break him? To which he just starts spewing complete nonsense, to which he's not trolling anymore at this point. He's just having a mental breakdown at that point, So that's what I'm curious to see. I think that we're going to get that. I don't think that he's going to be able to stay in character and just hit us with the investments, because that's not going to work with them. But anyways, we'll see how that works out. Now, I will be going live again. I'm going to shut this down, but I will be going live again at 1:30 Pacific Standard Time, my time here in California. So what time is it right now? 12:19. I'll be going live in about, I don't know, what is that, like an hour and 13 minutes, something like that, hour or something like that. Yeah, hour 15 minutes. I'll be going live again. So stay tuned. This video here is going to redirect you to the next live stream. So stay here all the way to the end of the video, and you will be redirected to the next live stream that I'll be having in about, roughly about hour and 15 minutes, something like that, right? But before I get out of here, let me make sure that I shout out those of you who showed love on today's stream. Shout out to my man Saul, who came through as he always does. He says, time to kick out Illinois. Time to kick out Illinois from the U.S. Yeah, I mean, they need to kick out the governor, J.B. Pritzker, and Brandon Johnson for sure. We'll see if that happens, though. I mean, Brandon Johnson for sure is gone. J.B. Pritzker, he's definitely running for president in 2028. I don't know what that means for him as far as running for governor is concerned, because I don't think there's term limits on being governor in Illinois. I don't think that there is. I have to look into that. But yeah, we'll see what happens with him. We'll see what happens with both of them. Brandon Johnson for sure is gone, though, with a 6.6% approval rating. Yeah, I'm not rounding up to 7%. It's 6.6%, which is crazy. My man Saul ran it back again. He said, I'm calling in sick to watch the hearing live. You all need to call in sick next Wednesday. If you got to work next Wednesday, call in sick, because we're definitely watching the Brandon Johnson hearing. We're definitely watching that. It's going to be for sure entertaining. Benton Jr. Bay came through as he always does, says, this group of Democrats refusing to put American people first must be involved in some sort of cult group loyal to each other. They are. That cult group is called the DNC. That's what it's called. A bunch of DNC lunatics. Shout out to College of Natural Health Science, BDA. You were around for it. My black dog wants to bite Brandon Johnson. You were around when I used to play that video all the time. My black dog, my black house, my black wife, my black children, and you expect me to go to the border living on the west side of Chicago with other black folks? That man, Brandon Johnson, is insane. My man Saul ran it back one more time. He said BJ won't be able to run this time. Yeah, no. Brandon Johnson, he definitely won't be able to run this time. He definitely won't be able to run this time. And that's what's going to make this hearing so humorous. And to round it out, shout out to my man Crew Reality for 9 months of service. I appreciate you, bro. He said, I hope Holman arrests BJ for obstruction and harboring. That would be beautiful. That would be beautiful. And I hope that happens. And that's one of the reasons why he's showing up. He consulted with his lawyer about whether or not to go to the hearing or not to go to the hearing. And that's one of the reasons that he is showing up. Not showing up to the hearing could backfire horribly on him. Because at that point, you're leaving it up to the congressmen and women to make up their own minds on, your policies and whether or not they're good or bad. Now, we all know that they're bad, but they do want to give him an opportunity to speak for himself before certain decisions start getting made concerning federal funding and things of that nature, right? I'm sure all that stuff will be challenged and yada, yada, yada. But yeah, he needs to show up, or else at that point, he's looking at a whole heap of trouble, to say the very, very least. But anyways, that does it for this stream. We're going to shut it down right here. Thank you all for joining me today. Hit the like button on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you're new to the channel. Share this video out on your social media platforms. And once again, stick around, because this live stream right here is going to redirect you to the next live stream. I'll be going live again in about, I don't know, what is this? An hour and 7 minutes. I'll be going live again in an hour and 7 minutes. This stream is going to redirect you to that one. So I'll catch you very soon. Peace. Have a great afternoon. And once again, see you soon.